DIY projects are a lot of fun, right? We all did some and we all have some automation in our home or something like that. But you can go beyond just the fun. You can also learn something. You can eventually consider learning new technologies to make your career move in a different direction. And that's exactly what Marco's done. Marco wrote a book about a project of his own using Home Assistant. He started with electronics, soldering, and things like that, ended up with an entire solution, wrote a book about that, and now is in love with IoT. Well, who wouldn't be, right? Today on the IoT Show, Marco shares his experience, his learnings with you so that you can, whether or not, decide to embrace IoT and make it your career path. Hi everyone, this is Olivier. You're watching the IoT Show, and today I have Marco with me to discuss home automation and, in particular, his experience creating his own home automation system using Home Assistant. And he did spend so much time on that he wrote a book about it. So we'll talk about the book as well. Hey Marco, how are you?
I'm fine. Thanks, Olivier. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for joining me, and thanks for spending the time here to share your learnings and educate people around us. I think it's fantastic what you're doing. And so, before we get into the topic here of Home Assistant and how you leveraged it to build your home automation system, and all the learnings of yours going through that, tell me about yourself. Like, what's your background? What are you doing?
So I'm an electronics engineer with a master's in computer science, and I used to define myself as a hobbyist of do-it-yourself engineer that loves to build products, electronic products, including hardware and embedded software.
Yeah, and I can see
And
you have a 3D printer behind you, so it's not just the electronics; it's
yeah,
also the things, right?
I'm it's something that I invest recently to better put the enclosures of my creations in a better shape, let's say.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so what made you want to build your own home automation solution and system versus buying one or versus doing something else? Why home automation and why DIY?
Yeah, I think that was a long journey. It started in 2006 actually, and was not so popular maybe at that time. Home automation systems like are today, right? So I the main motivation was maybe to save money, right? And like a little bit of curiosity, right? I believe
Yeah.
not too much safety, not too much convenience. Was more to try to save some energy out of the system.
Yeah, and you're an engineer, so curiosity, as you mentioned, it is one of the big factors. It's one
Yeah,
of the ways that we are having fun, coding
yeah, that's
and
right.
soldering and so on, right? As well, that's a hobby.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. This was
Yeah,
something that I want to develop better. I mean, building more hardware and software integrated this, and
yeah,
home automation
yeah.
allows you to do it.
Yeah, and I agree. Like home automation is a great application of IoT. It's like it's
Mhm.
accessible. It's something you can deploy in your own house. We'll talk about that towards the end of our discussion today. But as a path towards a professional, life doing IoT for a living
Mhm.
rather than just for building your home automation, and we'll talk about that anyways. But
Yeah.
tell us more about your journey. We'll look at the demo of what you built with Home Assistant and what you had to go through and some of the hardware as well. But tell us, like in a real short way, what was this
Uh-huh.
journey like?
Yeah, I try to summarize because
Yeah.
is very long, right? It started with, as I said 2006 with a business plan. I actually want to create a company related to home automation, right? And but I realized that I cannot reach the break even after I build the business plan. But I was very fascinated, still very fascinated with the world of home automation, and start to continue or to invest on it. And then I build. I was looking for technologies at that time and found extend devices. Right, that is a protocol that you can communicate through the power network that everybody has at home, So, and then I purchased some devices like these devices here, right? And and also build uh, with my skills of engineer this task scheduler here, right? And you can see with a lot of wires,
Nice.
and yeah, it's based on the microcontroller PIC 16F877. So I built a test scheduler that communicates with this these extend devices, right? And but was missing something. I mean, we have a local control, right? I mean, just interface with these devices through this task schedule. So I invest on other things. So let's try to get access remotely. And how I did that, I got a router, opened up and flash it with OpenWRT, and create some also some serial port communications through it until and then also developed the Android application to communicate to this router later on, right? And in the meantime, also purchased my first module that was based on particle devices, the Spark
Yeah.
Core. I founded, I helped the company to found these devices through crowdfunding, right? And later on, I migrate this software from the task scheduler to these small devices here that's compatible with
Yeah.
Arduino.
Can you put the two side by side so that people realize, the DIY one, which is
Sure.
like homemade schedule with a pick and so on, and the
Yeah.
particle
So
one, right?
right.
That is richer because it has network connectivity and so on in there, right?
Yeah. That's right. That's a module from TI CC 2000.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was not at that time. Was not the current ones that we see from expressive systems like
Hmm.
SP32s and 8266, right? So uh, what happened later on? I purchased my first Wi-Fi plugs,
Hmm.
right? Normal ones, but you see that a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
and then invest a little bit of time on the SP32s and 8266.
Okay.
And until I got for the final configuration, right? I mean, more related to software, I show a lot of hardware devices, but I installed an IoT stack that's available through Docker containers that has a lot of different softwares for IoT that I
Hmm.
covers in the book how you can do that. And uh, was able embedded on this on the one of the containers was Home Assistant. That's how I know at first Home Assistant, right?
Okay, so
So
it was kind of random. You discovered it as part of that solution that was
yes,
containerized, that they had Home Assistant in there. Interesting.
yeah, that's
Interesting.
right.
Well,
Yeah,
so how about you show us, what you built, and
sure,
eventually, walk us around your solution. The things that are really interesting, I think, for people, besides just seeing how cool your home automation system is the things you
sure.
learned, and we'll double click on that. But along the way, I'm
Okay.
curious to know what were the caveats, what were the big learnings for you?
Okay. So yeah, from this journey, the big learns for me were that you have a lot of combinations of hardware and software, right? And you
Hmm.
have to have a lot of options, right? And if you don't know how to combine them, you become lost, right? So focus on what you want, on what you need to do, what problems you want to solve, right? And do a incremental learning, right, on the process because there are a lot of things, right? There are things in my home that I didn't implement it yet, like Zigbee, for example, right?
Hmm.
I don't have them yet, but I will have in the near future because I want to learn. But for now, I have the configuration that I have can solve most part of my problems, right? And the other thing is that IoT is about real life scenarios, right? You in your home, you have different dependencies, right, and different needs of automate things, right?
Yeah.
So based on your day by day routine and what you do every day, you can create different automations and everybody, not only you, but how your family can be happy, right? Or not. Right?
That's interesting you're saying that because, I'm a technologist like you. I've been in IoT for a long time. So, yes, my home has some home automation and devices that, go through routines and have like this plug here, this button here, and so on. That said, as you were saying, everyone is using the home, right? Everyone is living in there,
Mhm.
not just me. And
Yeah.
so you have to be conscious of who the operators are and deliver a scenario and a usability and interoperability that is working for everyone. Like my wife will not use the phone to turn the lights on. She will
Mm.
want to have the button to do that. But then if I turn it on with the
Yes.
phone, she must turn it off with the button. And so it actually poses tons of interesting use cases here. And
Yes.
I'm using a Home Assistant as well. I think it addresses some of that really well. But yeah, I agree
Mhm.
with you. It's a lot about the use cases and the operators. And home automation
Yeah,
is no
that's right.
different to any other kind of IoT application.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, a lot of, I mean, you can have different automations that can solve your problems and also help your marriage. In my case, I have one here at home that
Oh,
support
yeah,
me
you're
on
gonna
that.
have to
So,
tell me about this very particular use case here. Like, I want to hear
yeah,
about this
that's right.
one.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. All right.
Okay, so walk me around what we're looking right now at.
Yeah, so this is sharing the screen here. This is the dashboard, one of the dashboards actually that I was implemented. I mean, there are, I should say that they're not the fancy ones. I mean, I have a friend of mine that after purchased the book, he was sending me a lot of screenshots of his dashboards and much better than mine. But here you can see, for example, that you can implement this card here, that you have a floor plan of my bedroom, for example, and you can see
Yep.
devices that can be installed here, right? So
Hmm.
this dashboard is how the information from the sensors and actuators are presented in the screen for you, and this is configurable, right? Actually, I pressed down here, so and you can see here different cards, right? There is another view that is all dependencies in my home, and each one of these cards is a type of dependency and um, what's on it, right? So I have the temperature of the kitchen, for example, here, a camera in the kitchen, and a lot of plugs here that I can just turn on and turn off here, and that I can get, I mean, control remotely these devices, right? I
Hmm.
have another view that is just a type of devices, right? The door sensors, temperature sensors. You can see that I like a lot. I have one project that is in the book that teaches how you can get all these temperatures from different dependencies in your home, right?
Okay.
And motion sensors and so on. And I get one special view here that I create for the show and hopefully works well. For example, you can create scenes here, right? Scenes are combinations of different devices that you can just set up, right? For example, if you want every light, let's suppose every light in your house turned off, right? You can press this one here and hopefully you can see there are some effects here. The lights on me become a little bit weird, right? So let me just turn all on and you can see there are more different lights on the environment, some color
Yeah.
one in the back here, right? And let's set up the scene that I prepare for the show. That is one of this one here, right?
I'm curious now.
So that's
There you
the
go.
one that that's one that I want, right?
Hmm.
So and then this is scenes, right? Well, let's try not just one device, turn on one or off other device at the time. Is a combination, right? Is some of the powerful resources of Home Assistant. And the other one is the automation, right? The automation is really cool. I prepare one here just to play with the lights. As you can see, the desk outlet is the one that is pointing to my face, is turned on, right? What is gonna happen? I have this sensor here that I built with
Hmm.
sorry, yeah, here,
Yep.
right? That with a peer sensor, a motion sensor. And what I'm gonna do is turn it on right now. What I'm gonna do is enable this automation, right? So it's very sensitive. I just cross my hands here, so you see that this will be trigger, turn off the light in my front and turn on again. Let's try. So you see here the garage peer sensor is detected, right? 5 seconds
Okay.
and turn on. You turn it on, right?
Yep.
Again, yeah, detected. Turn
And
on.
back
I
on.
have to
Right.
disable here. Let me disable here, otherwise
Yeah.
you'll be a problem,
It'll be
right? So let me just
psychedelic.
turn on here. Yeah. So that's a short demo. Actually, I have here other things like Node-RED, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
I grab temperatures from different sensors. As I said, I implement these using Node-RED. Is
Okay.
inside Home Assistant, as you can see here. That is 5 temperature logger is one of the projects of the book. And
Mm-hmm.
the first automation is this one that I have this sensor actually that I show in the screen installed in my garage, right? So during the night, it's day here, right, in my location. Once the sensor, motion sensor is triggered, the light in the garage turns on, right?
Okay.
All this logic here in Node-RED do that automation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have also all these temperature projects is using other IoT tools, software tools, right? So and they are presented in Grafana. So I use Node-RED in FluxDB, right? And this is the temperature that I got inside my home and night outside. And I have
Okay.
inside humidity and outside humidity. This is for the last 6 months,
Wow.
right?
Okay.
So I can come here and say, well, let's see for the last 24 hours, how was the behavior, right? Inside
Mm-hmm.
temperature is a controlled temperature. You can see that's 24 degrees to 20, right? Pretty much. At the night, we
Yeah.
have this configured that the temperature can be lower, right? And the outside temperature, so starting to become night, came from 20 to maybe yeah 7 8, and then now
Mm-hmm.
it's outside is 21 degrees
Okay.
Celsius. So it's something that I use to monitor in my home. So it's some projects that I did, and then it's being covered in the book. And the last
Mm-hmm.
thing is the each sensor. I mean, pretty much, I instead of using some cloud sensors, some sensors or some devices that are connected through the cloud, I installed a special software, right? Flashed them in this sensor called Tasmora, right? That also teach how we can use. And this web server here with this IP address is running actually in the sensor, right? In this sensor that I show in the screen, right? And you
Okay.
can see and do a lot of different configurations. You can see the temperature here locally that is grabbing, right, from its garage, but the sensor is here. So, and I have this that captures the SP32, all the temperature from the different devices, these five
Mm-hmm.
devices that I have internally is showing yeah 4 and 5 after it's being switched. So that's something that is worth to show to people. And all this content, all these things are being covered, as I said in the book. It's very interesting.
Nice.
This
Yeah.
saves a lot of time and a lot of uncertainties,
Yeah,
right?
no, I hear you. So there's one thing you did not mention because you're so familiar with Home Assistant, but I think it's important. So we see a lot of home automation solution that are cloud based, where you have a hub in the house and that all the devices are connecting to the hub over Zigbee, over Wi-Fi, and then eventually you have Matter now that allows kind of discovering and organizing how devices are declaring their capabilities and so on. But at the end of the day, most of the existing solutions are about connecting to a cloud service that does
Mhm.
all the logic, right? Which is
Yes.
okay, but has limitations as privacy issues and things like that. And so Home
Yeah, that's
Assistant,
right.
I have it running here on a Raspberry Pi, and it's
Mhm.
running in my house to control the scenarios and so on, and it's running locally, right? So similar for you, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I prefer to run locally and not deal with these security issues, right? So to
Yeah.
simplify my life, I actually installed the Duke DNS to try to access remotely. In the book, I covered this content as well,
Hmm.
right? But you have the option to sign Nabu Casa. That's the cloud solution that came from Home Assistant, and they handle all these safety or security things, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Surrounding.
it gives you the remote control, right? When you're not home, you can see what's happening. You can, oh, I forgot to lock the smart lock, this kind of things. But I'm there's a latency issue as well. I've noticed that
Yes,
lots of cloud services, that's things are not instant, right? You press
yes,
on a button and
and there
way
is
and
some
suddenly
lag.
boom it comes in because you don't want to pay a lot. So that means the service is running in the cloud. They're not running on the highly available, queues of the various services.
Hmm.
And so you have delays. And that's a
Yes.
communication goes up and down. Not even mentioning the fact that it burns your data rate as well. But
Yes.
yeah, Home Assistant is local, is running on a server in the
Yes.
house. So there's no back and forth to the cloud. Automations are here. And I was amazed when I switched to Home Assistant to see how rapid things were. And
Mhm.
back to the operators, family is way happier because when they press on the button, it works,
Yeah,
right?
it works immediately. Yeah, yeah. I just have some issues with the door sensors, right? I use Wi-Fi sensors. It's a battery powered and
Mm-hmm.
takes a lot of battery, right? So I think that switching to Zigbee ones would be better, right? And
Yeah,
more
and
fast as
that's
well because yeah,
yeah, I agree. That's interesting. How well it's a good thing that you start thinking about these aspects, right? It's now
yeah.
you're adapting, and one of the other good things I like with Home Assistant is the fact that it abstracts what kind of technology is each of the devices using. You don't
Yes.
have to have
Oh yeah,
everything on
yeah.
Zigbee or everything Wi-Fi, or you have a unified story, and you can actually
That's
hook
right.
up devices that connect through a cloud service, right? Smart things
Yeah,
or HomeKit, and you can integrate these into your scenarios in Home Assistant as well.
yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of integrations in Home Assistant. Is well said. I mean, it is one of the reasons that I switched to Home Assistant as well, to not having a lot of apps installed in your cell
Yeah.
phone, each one to control different thing. Here you can control things, combine it, right? You can have some device from one supplier or manufacturer talking or being controlled by another one from a different supplier, right? Or
Yeah.
manufacturer. So
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, that makes
Yep.
sense. Marco, can you tell us a little bit about your main learnings? What are the main things? Like you say, you started in what 2006, so it's been some time already. You've been tinkering around, right? And it's evolved,
Yes.
and you've seen like the big pig-based scheduler device went all the way down
Hmm.
to that little controller. What are the main things you would like to share with other engineers who are watching this video when it comes to your experience and your learnings?
Yeah, I think that's yeah. As I mentioned before, I think that it's more to how you can navigate with this amount of technologies available, right? The time that I started to build things, nothing was available pretty much. We didn't have Arduino at that time, right? Wi-Fi was scarce resource. So
Mhm.
nowadays you have plenty of options available, right? So, and you have to not learn everything, right?
Yeah.
Do this incremental learning, right? According to the time, learn one thing at a time. So it's better to you and making progress with it and definitely play with it, right? So you see that things will become more smoothly, more you'll be more motivated to do things in your life. Yeah, I think that's one of the main things. And what else I can say? Yeah,
Right.
be creative. yeah, be creative with things, right? I mean, be when you implement your have your home as your lab, right? So experimenting things, new technologies, right? And to implement automations, for example, talk to other people, try to get ideas, right? Thinking about your day by day routine, right? And focus on what you need.
Yeah.
Is simple, I believe.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think these are good lessons. There's another aspect to it that, now you're describing your experience, your learnings. You're coming from the hardware side of the story, and that's interesting. Now you're telling the story. That's interesting to see how you started attacking this problem from the hardware part of it. So you didn't
Yes,
look for, hey, here's an existing solution for connecting the device and so on. You actually created your own scheduler and everything, right?
yeah,
But then you ended up adopting the software aspects all the way down to having a full blown solution, which is Home Assistant, that
yes,
takes care of a lot of the software part of that solution.
yes,
So you basically have been relying for part of your developments, and actually more and more because you're adopting modules rather than developing your own
yes,
entities.
yes.
You're basically adopting things that are out there off the shelf, and now you're integrating them versus building everything yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that my experience with hardware, as you said, and also my master's was entirely embedded systems, right? I did TCP IP stack, LWIP, ported to a 8-bit microcontroller at that time. So I have some experience there, but I realized with a lot of these options available in the market today, you just have to know how to integrate things. I mean, you can develop for sure, contribute with the community and everything, right? Don't
Mhm.
get me wrong, right? But to implement things in your home or even learn IoT, right, is just grab what is available and play with it, right?
Yep.
For sure, to become a professional in this area, you have to do more, right? But this will be a good start for you, right?
Yep.
Pick just the small things and learn with it.
Yeah. Last question for you, Mark. So before like we point people to the book, from your career perspective, so you come from hardware, you learn software, you're a curious person. Do you see IoT in general? So home automation is one of the many applications of IoT. Do you see IoT as being a technology you think you can go towards as a career? You mentioned embedded, but it's not just embedded. It's also the clouds, the connectivity, the
Yes,
security. It applies to industrial automation, to smart agriculture, smart whatever.
yes.
Do you see that as a path forward for an engineer these days?
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, thanks for your question is very relevant because IoT is everywhere, right? Every
Mhm.
device nowadays has some small communication module, right? That can bring to communicate to the internet, right? And it's pretty much adopted in different areas of the industry and the environment, right? I came from mining, work at mining. They use a lot in the agriculture, as you said, and
Mhm.
also industry. It's this industry 4.0, sorry. It's embrace IoT a lot, so
Yeah,
it's
no,
amazing. I
I
mean,
agree.
I think that yeah, it'd be a good starting point learning IoT through home automation. That's a simple case that you can use in your home, right? To know more about how to apply
Yeah,
this technology in your future career, right?
I like that. I like that a lot. And as a matter of fact, if you don't know where to start with your home automation project to learn IoT, I highly recommend checking Marco's book. It's edited by Pac-T. Go check it out. I don't make any money on these books. You do. So help Marco out. Go buy the book. There's a digital version, and it's really well done. I went through it, not all of it, but it's super interesting because you're detailing all of the steps, and how to do it. And there's several projects in there. So you can adapt this project to your own home if you're watching this video. Marco,
Yeah.
thanks a lot for your time today, for
Okay.
writing the
Thank.
book, and then for coming to the IoT Show to share about it.
Sure.
Well, I
Sure.
wish you all the best.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and see you next time. Thank you.
See you, Marco. Have a good one. Bye, everyone.
You too. Bye.